Evening guys, and welcome back to the channel. I figured I'd do a video tonight about doing a little catch up and telling you guys kind of what's been going on over the last couple of months, and why you haven't seen anything out of the channel for a little while. So see, my last race video was a recap of Cincy Street Nights back in September, and that was probably one of the funnest events that I've done, maybe outside of drag week, in terms of what I've done with this car, and kind of wouldn't mind doing some other events kind of like that, maybe some stuff that's a little closer. But after Cincy Street Nights, I put a pretty aggressive clutch tune-up in the car and went to Cecil for, it was, I guess, the last Outlaw Streetcar Shootout that they were going to have for the year, and that was in the first weekend in November. Been working with Scott Clark on the EFI tune, getting it a little bit closer, and the car was obviously making pretty good steam at Cincinnati, and we didn't really change anything from there, but Cecil County is notoriously a much faster track. So first pass off the trailer, I go up there with what I think is a pretty aggressive tune, and I let the clutch out off two-step, and it went almost immediately went to the bumper. I lifted because the car got kind of out of shape pretty quick. Car tried to go to the left pretty fast. And a really fast video that my wife took. It's first race that the wife and kids come out to for the year, so it took her by surprise. And it ended up, when I lifted, I was still in gear and had some engine braking, and it just literally just drove the front of the car into the ground. And there's some stills of the car with the nose is all distorted and everything else. And it actually smashed the bottom of the oil filter, and it side loaded the filter. I oiled the track down, and it was a little bit of a sketchy ride coming to a stop. I ended up pretty much perpendicular with the wall. Thankfully, I was okay. The car stayed off the wall and everything else. So, but it hurt the car. It flexed the firewall a bit. There was actually a little bit of buckling in the firewall, and you can see behind me I've got the thing apart. Still figuring out this video thing. Apparently I didn't have enough space on my phone. Sorry about that, guys. So anyways, there was a little bit of damage to the car. As far as I could tell, there wasn't anything to the suspension or the steering that was damaged that was wheelie related necessarily. The car it still drove straight and everything else. I put a oil filter on it and fired it up without any problems. I did actually have, I can't see any problems. I did have the pressure relief valve in the oil or the oil pump had stuck, and that that scared me a little bit because I was seeing like 100, 105 psi as I revved the engine of oil pressure, and I pretty much knew right away what it was. I'd had a similar problem happen to the car, and it was an engine years and years ago, and it was a stuck PRV valve. So anyways, so I got that fixed, and then started kind of looking at how I was going to deal with some of the damage. And the big thing was trying to figure out how to make the car strong enough that in the event that we did end up on the bumper again, that I wouldn't have the car flex around a bunch. So I think like 5 years ago I did a tubular radiator support, and I cut some of the frame rail off. I gotta be really honest, it's pretty popular to put tubular front ends in these cars these days. You know, maintain some, you know, strut tower and just tube the front end, but I think I really prefer them pretty well uncut. Yeah, there's a bunch more space, but there's almost no weight advantage. I know that there are some companies that make some pretty big wild claims that you can lose 50 or 70 pounds by doing this. You really only lose that 50 or 70 pounds if you still had your front bumper support, which I don't know of any drag racer that's serious about weight reduction that still has the front bumper support. That's about 30 pounds by itself. And also if you go from like a stock style steering configuration to a rack and pinion, that's worth probably 20 or 30 pounds on its own. So when you see stuff like, you know, 70 pounds or more weight savings, take that with a grain of salt. So yeah, so I had a lot of people asking if I was seeing any weight reduction out of this, what I'm doing. I gotta be honest, I don't think so. Not over what I had anyways. I mean, the front bumper support's been gone for years and years, and the rack and pinion steering's been in the car since 2015, 14, 15, somewhere in there. So I really don't think that was a really big weight saving. So my number one thing is making sure that that it's strong, that we don't run into a problem with the car trying to flex or fold if it comes down hard from a wheelie again. So yeah, so right now that's kind of the plan. So it did smash the headers up, unfortunately, and I've had a few different thoughts about what I want to do with that. I actually have a set of Speed Engineering headers hanging on the wall. Thought about putting those in it. Then I thought that you know, this engine really deserves a proper custom built header, and so I started thinking about getting the material together to put like a nice double stepped stainless steel header together for it. And then I got to thinking about like my family and how much time I spend out here in the garage anyways, and I just don't know if I'm up for that, at least not right now. I've already built 3 sets of headers for the car over the last 5 or 6 years. I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of on the fence. And then you know, like I had a lot of people ask me why don't I just try and fix what I have? I mean, the dent at the bottom of the primary is pretty bad, and I had some buddies give me some ideas on how to deal with that. And I mean, I'm kind of at the point where I ain't got nothing to lose. If I'm able to get them to where they're pretty well straight, I think I might just try and do that. So I think at this point, I'd really like to get the car back race ready without spending a lot of money. Definitely would like to get the car back race ready without spending a lot of time on it, which is it's just not feasible. Like, there's so much that these things take in terms of effort and everything else. So, but yeah, so I figure since we're sitting here and I ain't got nothing better to do, and I really have no desire to do any grinding and cutting and bending tonight, so I'll give you a quick tour of some of the things that I'm doing, some of the ideas I have, and a quick tour around my little humble shop as well. So as you can see, I've already got the passenger side pretty well figured out. So, and I do have the main hoop on here already. Further, I guess you call it the front hoop. So this is all 1 5/8 inch 083 chromoly. And I wanted to make sure it was going to be nice and strong. So it's actually the end plates there for the frame rail is also all chromoly. It's 1/8 inch plate, chromoly plate. And then, yep, 1 5/8 inch here as well. So we got here, you know, I can turn this on. Oh, ba-da! Okay, so it's a giant mess in here. I apologize. So all you guys with wiring OCD are probably going nuts right now looking at this. And I agree, it needs some help. And I'm going to try to go through it a little bit. But as you can see, that's where the tube for the strut bar comes through, which is really what I wanted to show you. You can see up in there where it comes through. And then I'm also going to do like a 1 1/4 inch 083 wall tube to go down here. It'll stitch along here, and I want to tie it into that motor plate mount as well. And then I'll trim all of this stuff up, cut the hole in the firewall, and do it again. So, but yeah, so a couple things on the shop. So you can see it's pretty small, pretty tight. Got stuff kind of laying everywhere. So my little air compressor's trying to walk around. I'll stick this back over in the corner like it ought to be. Yep. No. Come on. No. Aha. There we go. All right. Yep. So it's a 30-gallon compressor. It's pretty well what I run everything off of. I've got my my belt grinder. It's a 36-inch belt grinder. I try and use like the 3M Kubatron type belts. So I do my tungsten grinding over here. Probably shouldn't tell you that. So somebody be upset. Oh, and then over here, you guys saw the welding cart build, maybe. I don't know. If you didn't, go check it out. So, but the welding cart has been doing pretty well. I think at the end of the video, I said I would use it for a little while and then blow it apart and paint it. Well, I've been using it for a little while, and you can see I haven't blown it apart and painted it. So that's yeah, whatever. I'll paint it one day maybe. So maybe I'll just coat her down in some WD or something, and then just you know, let her do her thing. So get nice and oily and whatever. So, but the blue motor there, that's a 5.3 liter, and that's going to go in a good friend of mine's car. I'm hoping that you'll get to see that later on sometime this year. It's a 67 Ford Falcon. Kind of a neat car. It's not a super popular body style, but when you look at them, they're kind of like the Ford version of the Nova. So anyways, that's going to find its way in there. So yep. So yeah, that's an automatic transmission shifter. Don't judge me. I've gone to the dark side on the formula, which you guys probably don't know much about that car yet, and I'll try and do a future video on that. So, but basically, it's a Pro-Charged LS6, and had a T56, and it's got 12 bolts in it, and yeah, I already have one parts breaker. I really don't need two. So I took the T56 out and swapped with a guy locally for a Turbo 400. And we're going to try and do some index and maybe some bracket racing with that. So then let's see here. Got my press over in the corner. And then my workbench. Now normally I don't keep these guys over here when I'm not using them, the drill press and the bandsaw. I actually have a spot over on the shelf that's next to the race car. These normally hang out on, but I've got a fender up there right now. So yeah, so drill press, bandsaw, table, and my bins, my indices here. I'm actually pretty proud of these. So I've been getting into some kind of hobbyist machining lately. I really want to have a lot more machining kind of capabilities here at the homestead. And if I ever get my bigger shop built, then I'd like to get a lathe and a mill. And then let's see, used drive shaft, a real proper bolt bin. So, and then yeah, cabinet. Got just, you know, the normal junk in it, so nothing crazy. And let's see, that's material for the Falcon for when it comes up here. We got roll bar tubing hanging. That's for the Falcon. See, you can see I got shelves down there, and that's something else that's really important when you're working out of a really small shop, is having these shelves. Anytime you can get the stuff, the equipment, the parts, the chemicals, the whatever, you get it up off the floor, and it really helps make the area feel bigger, and you're not tripping all over stuff. And like I've got a little bit of material. I've got this piece of chromoly hanging out on the floor, and you know, like that kind of stuff drives me nuts. But I'm about to use that piece, so it's kind of why it's down. But yeah, so that's pretty well the shop in a nutshell. So I mean, if you've got a small space, I think that this is proof right here that if you want to build race cars out of a single car garage, I mean, you really can. So you know, like I even take advantage of the space above. And you know, like all that stuff's really important. You know, you gotta get this, especially there's things that just can't be down, you know, like you can't be tripping over wheels and tires all the time. So, you know, like this is where it goes, you know, you put it up there. So if I had an attic, that's where it would go. Oh, so anyways, yeah, that's pretty well what we're working with here in at Walter Racecraft, I guess you could call it. So I hope you guys are digging the content. I know that sometimes we got kind of a, you know, just slow momentum. And especially when you don't have any live action or anything like that, then it's a little bit more boring. But especially when the season gets kicked back off, we'll have a bunch of racing and hopefully some street cruising and maybe out there doing a little shenanigans here and there. So generally having a good time. So if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, so thanks for spending the last few minutes with me. I hope you guys have a great night, and see you on the next video.